I'm Lou, a Leiths teacher, and I'm going to show you how to make a classic crème anglaise sauce. The key skill in making a crème anglaise is gentle egg cookery. So I'm going to show you exactly how to manage that throughout the stages of cooking. If you're using a vanilla pod to flavour your crème anglaise, we need to first get the seeds out from the inside. In order to do this, I've got a small knife. I'm going to make an incision at the top and then scrape all the way down the length of the vanilla pod, pull it apart, and what we're looking to do is to prise out all the seeds that are in the inside. So I'm going to press flat with my knife, just need to prise it apart slightly, and then scrape all the way down the length to take out all of those delicious vanilla seeds that are inside the pod. I'll then repeat with the other side. This empty vanilla pod should not be discarded. It's still got lots and lots of flavour and lots of vanilla seeds that you can't see. You can add this to the cream milk base for the infusion, or you can keep it and use it for other things, such as flavouring sugar. We're going to place the liquid ingredients into the pan, double cream, followed by the milk. Then we're adding all that lovely seeds from the vanilla. And so as not to waste, we're also going to add in the pods. And we're going to infuse this now. We're going to take this liquid mixture to scalding point. What we'll be looking for is just some small little bubbles around the edge as it raises in temperature. And then we're going to leave that to infuse for 10 minutes. While our liquids are scalding, we can then get ready to make the anglaise. Mise en place for this recipe is really important. I'm firstly going to mix my egg yolks and sugar in this bowl, but I also need to have another clean bowl and sieve ready, because as soon as the anglaise is cooked, I need to take it off the heat and sieve it to make sure that it doesn't carry on cooking. We can see a little bit of movement now in the liquids, and we've just got some bubbling around the edges of the pan, which is what we're looking for in terms of scalding. So I'm going to turn this off now and leave it to infuse for 10 minutes. My liquids have been infusing now for 10 minutes, so I'm ready to move on and actually start making the crème anglaise. It's important that we don't mix the egg yolks and the sugar until this stage. I'm going to take the egg yolks, pop them into a bowl. Make sure to scrape them out if you've weighed them into another container. We need all of that egg in the recipe cooking out. The egg yolk is what's going to thicken this. Sugar, and then just using a spatula, going to gently combine. I'm now going to combine my scalded liquids, which have been infusing for 10 minutes, with my egg yolk and sugar mix, which I have just combined together. We're going to do this very gradually. We've got hot liquid coming in contact with egg yolk, so we want to make sure that we're not cooking those egg yolks. I'm going to pour a tiny amount in, and we're doing this off the heat. This is really crucial. We need to get this nice and smooth, so use that spatula, scrape the sides and the bottom, making sure all of that egg yolk is being picked up. You can see it's nice and smooth. I'm going to add some more now. Repeat the process. At this stage, you can see the mixture is lightened in colour and it's become really nice and light. So I know everything's well combined. I'm confident now that I can pour the rest of this liquid in a slow, steady stream while stirring. And I'm going to scrape out that pan just to get all of that lovely vanilla into the anglaise. This is ready to go back into a clean pan now on the heat, and we're going to cook it out. Now adding my mixture into a clean saucepan. You can see there's lots of vanilla and egg mixture left in the bowl, so it's really important to use your spatula to scrape all of that mixture out. Remember, the egg is what's thickening our anglaise, so it all needs to be in the pan when we start cooking it out. The hardest thing about cooking an anglaise is getting it to the right consistency. We're going to be cooking this on a low to medium heat. If we have the temperature too high, what will happen is the egg that's in there on the bottom of the pan will scramble instantly, and that's not what we want. We're going to be cooking this really slowly. We're going to be using the spatula, constantly moving it across the base. And I'll show you what that starts to look like as it thickens. Managing this egg cooking is the crucial part of learning how to cook the best crème anglaise. I've got the mixture now on a low to medium heat, and you can see it's really liquid and it's got lots of bubbles across the surface. As this mixture starts to cook and thicken, what you will see is those bubbles will disappear, so the mixture will start to look a lot smoother, and it will also start to thicken. This initial part of the process, we need to be patient. It's going to take 2 to 3 minutes before it starts to thicken, but it's really important that we always keep this mixture moving using our spatula across the base of the pan. If we let our crème anglaise sit on the pan, even on a low to medium heat, it will still cook and scramble on the bottom, and then we will have a sauce that's got texture. And a classic crème anglaise should have really smooth texture with no lumps of egg. I've been cooking this mixture for about 2 minutes now, and first indication that it's starting to cook is you should see some steam coming up off the pan. This is where the egg cookery is starting to happen, okay? So this point is quite crucial. As this cooks and thickens, it will automatically want to thicken on the base of the pan first. And this can sometimes give you a false sense of security because the liquid that you see on the top still looks really quite loose. So in order to control this egg cookery, if you feel like it's maybe starting to thicken a little bit, but you're not quite sure, all you need to do is take the pan, remove it from the heat, but carry on stirring. Never stop stirring. We're controlling the egg cookery now. All we're doing now is waiting for all of that residual heat to come up from the base of the pan and thicken the rest of the mixture. And once we've ascertained that this mixture is not thick enough at the moment, you can see it's still really loose, I'm going to put it back on the heat. Another minute or so now of cooking on the heat, and you will see that it has started to visibly thicken. If you look at the surface, there's less of those aerated tiny bubbles. So at this stage, it might be a good idea to remove the pan from the heat and check the consistency. I'm going to lift it off the heat. I'm going to carry on stirring it. And I've got a metal spoon. I'm going to dip it in the sauce and let it coat the back of the spoon. And we're looking for an even coating consistency across. What we've got here is something that's really thin. This bit at the edge is what we're looking for across the whole spoon. So I know it's not cooked enough. I need to put it back on the heat to continue cooking. I can really feel now that this mixture is thickened. And I think it's very close. At this point, it's really easy to overcook this mixture and end up with scrambled egg. So if you're in any doubt, the first thing you need to do is take it off the heat. Remove the source of heat, and that will stop that egg cookery in its tracks. I'm still stirring it continuously, making sure it's moving off the bottom of the pan. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it off the heat and give it another little check. We're looking for that coating consistency. So now if we look at that anglaise across the back of the spoon, you can see it's coating it a lot more evenly. I'm really happy with the consistency of that. I'm going to sieve it into my clean bowl. I'm now going to sieve my anglaise, and that's going to remove those vanilla pods and any tiny eggy lumps that you might have. But if we look in the base of the pan, it looks pretty clean, so I'm happy that I managed that egg cookery quite well. In the bowl, what we're looking for, again, we can check at this stage. If we swirl it around the edges, it's got a nice kind of coating consistency. It's clinging onto the sides of the bowl. If at this stage you are not happy with the consistency and you feel like it's too thin, all you need to do is scrape this mixture back into your saucepan, put it back on the heat to cook it out a little bit more. If you didn't have a vanilla pod with all those lovely vanilla seeds to add to your anglaise to flavour it, it's at this stage that you could add some vanilla extract. The crème anglaise is now ready to be served immediately, or if you're making it in advance, it can now be stored, and it will keep in the fridge for 2 to 3 days. In order to store this correctly, we're going to use a technique called close covering. If we leave this crème anglaise in the bowl like this, exposed to the air, it's going to get a skin on top. So I'm going to take my cling film, and in order to close cover it, we're going to place it onto the anglaise so that it's touching the surface, and that will prevent a skin from forming. Once your anglaise has cooled down for about 10 minutes or so, you can store it in the fridge for 2 to 3 days. If you want to reheat it for use, you place it back into a clean saucepan and very gently reheat it, making sure that you're stirring it all the time. This mixture always has the capacity to curdle, and that egg has the capacity to overcook in that pan. So it's always gentle heat that we're applying, whether it's in the initial cooking stage or in the reheating stage.